Here at Kowalski Mountain, we live in Amish country, and we visited our friend Enos at his farm stand, and he had a box of late season tomatoes. Now, some of these tomatoes are way too pretty to make juice, but today we're going to make some tomato juice in the steam canner. Hey friends, it's Barbra-SUE at Kowalski Mountain, and welcome back to our channel. So we are officially full-time on the homestead, and we're not completely settled in, but the homestead work does not wait for everything to be right. Now, when we visited Enos, our friend who owns a farm stand, he's an Amish neighbor, he had a box of beautiful late season tomatoes, and let me tell you, some of these tomatoes are gorgeous. I see some tomato sandwiches this week in my lunches. Today I'm going to make tomato juice in the steam canner. Now I do have one epic mistake that I've made. So you all know that we're moving here to the homestead, and most of our stuff is actually still in Florida. We've moved what we can so far and what we have room for, but we have a lot of stuff in Florida still. And the one thing that I don't know that I packed was canning rings. Now I have jars and I have lids, but I can't find that I brought any canning rings. And I have been hunting. So my canning today is going to be limited by the number of rings that I have available. I actually have two projects I want to work on today, but it looks like we're working on only one. Now, these tomatoes that I bought from the Amish are canning tomatoes. And what that means is they're just not the best. They're not the prettiest. They're not the ones that are going to win any special awards for their beautiful tomato qualities. But they're still good tomatoes. They're tasty, they're ripe, these are beautifully ripened, and they're going to make some really good tomato juice, even though they're not the most picturesque tomatoes in the tomato box. Now, I bought these a couple days ago, and we had to move the RV, and if you missed that video, I'm going to put it up here. Moving the RV was a really big task, and we prepared for it for quite a while. But it's up here. We're not settled in, but we're here. And so now I can concentrate on some other things that need my attention. Now, to prepare my tomatoes to make tomato juice, all I need to do is core my tomatoes and cut off any bad spots. I could quarter them, and I might if I need to fit more into the canner, but I'm going to try it without. Now, the steam canner is the latest tool that I added to the homestead toolbox, and I'm super excited to have it. So if you're not familiar with a steam canner, it has three parts. It has the bottom part, which is the water vessel, and that's where we've put in water so that we can create boiling water, which will create steam. The middle part is the juice collection basket, and that has a hole in the center that allows the steam to come up through, but it also has a solid bottom and it collects all of the juice. Now, the very top section of it is the fruit basket, and it's basically a giant colander, and you cut up your fruit or your vegetables or whatever it is that you're going to juice, and you put it in the steam basket. And the steam is going to cause those fruits to burst open and release the juice. And we can can the juice for later use. Now, Philip likes tomato juice, and I like to cook with it. So when I saw this late season tomatoes, I knew exactly what I wanted to do with it. Now, with the steam canner, after it's created the juice, you're going to be left with pulp. And tomatoes is one of the things that you can utilize the pulp. We can make tomato paste. Now, I'm pretty sure I did not bring the food mill. We have one, but I did not bring it. So I may not, I don't know if I could freeze the pulp and mill it later. Maybe. I'm going to think about that one, because I would hate to waste all that. All right, we're going to let that do its thing. I've got this filled up and I got the lid on it, and I'll add those extras as it starts to cook down. Now, if you want to know why I picked out this steam canner, this is a new purchase for me. I talk about all the reasons why I bought it, and I did a video right up here. Well, I checked my tomato juice, and it's not coming out as I expected. It's really just the clear juice from the tomatoes. It smells really good, but I feel like I need a food mill, and I did not bring my food mill. You know, we didn't have room to bring everything, and I had to prioritize what I did bring. Oh, this might be a fail. Well, so far, I am not impressed with making tomato juice in my steam canner. Let me show you where we're at. So this is pretty much what's left. Trying to press out some of that pulp into my juice. Now, the first draw of juice was pretty much clear liquid, and I saved it. It's in the kitchen. And this time, since I don't have my food mill, I'm going to strain it. It's hot. Here we go. Well, this is a little more encouraging. Now at this point, I just have a little bit of pulp, and I can see how you could make tomato paste out of this. I'm not going to bother with it. It's so little, and I don't have my food mill to strain it out. So I can definitely see how you could, but I'm not going to mess with it today. Well, it is getting hot in the outdoor kitchen, and I hope you can hear me because I've got generators all over the place. One keeping the freezers up and one on the house. So hopefully you can hear me. Now, I've successfully juiced the tomatoes, and I have to say I have kind of mixed feelings about it. The very first draw was that clear liquid from the tomatoes, and I've decided not to use it. I'm not going to mix it back into the juice because it will make it very, very thin. It seems like a bit of waste, but I think it'll be more flavorful. I tried both. It's not flavorful at all with that clear liquid. So we're just going to use the juice, which means we'll have a smaller yield, but it'll be more flavorful. Now, I always use my complete home canning guide by the USDA, and they recommend you can use water bath canning and pressure canning for tomato juice, but pressure canning is the preferred method. So I'm going to go ahead and use the pressure canner. And also, since tomatoes are a low acid food, we're going to add lemon juice and a little bit of salt for flavor. Now right now I have the juice behind me on the burner warming up, and then we're going to bottle it up. So for my acid, I'm going to add a little bit of lemon juice to each jar. So I'm making pint jars, so it's a tablespoon per jar. And a half a teaspoon of salt, and I'm using Redmond salt. Now I'm going to fill each jar, leaving a ½ inch of headspace. Now you always clean your rims, just in case you get something on them. You don't want anything that prevents a good seal. Now I've been scrounging around all day, and I found enough rings to do the job. All right, this is set up, so let's let it come to pressure. It's time to add the weight. And once that comes to pressure, these pint jars are going to process for 20 minutes. Now I use a dial gauge pressure canner, but to make it a lot easier, I purchased the weighted gauge that goes on top, and it self-regulates the pressure for me, so I can be a little bit more free when I'm canning. Now every time that jiggles, it lets a little bit of steam out to keep it in process. Now that seems like it's jiggling a little bit fast. I'm going to turn it down a little bit. I need to make sure it doesn't stop jiggling, or we would need to start the time over. So we can go ahead and start this for 20 minutes. "20 minutes has gone by, so it's time to turn off the heat. Now I'm going to let this cool and naturally depressurize, and then we'll pull out that tomato juice. All right, this has cooled enough to open the lid. Here it is. Well, here there it is, my canned tomato juice that will be shelf stable and a little taste of summer all winter long. As always, we appreciate you watching us here at Kowalski Mountain. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, hit that button. Become a member of the Kowalski Mountain family. We sure appreciate it. Well, that's all for today. We'll see you next time.